Welcome back, everybody, to Rissington. Apologies for the technical issues. Not sure if you heard our little intro to proceedings here today. My name's Andrew Mather. Alongside me in the box as well is Reeve Taylor. Reeve, really great to be here at Rissington today. Classic circuit. It's been on these grounds since the 1960s, but the first time that the Cadet and Junior Championships have raced here for Club 100.
Yep, classic circuit, but a new challenge for our drivers. So I think everyone is looking forward to making their mark in our 2025 standings here today. We're in the middle of Cadet qualifying at the moment for Group A. Just under 10 minutes to go at the end of this running. Now, qualifying is going to be an interesting one here today, I suspect, because not a massive circuit. You've got to pick your moments personally. You've got to build yourself a nice gap, a nice margin in order to try and get your way up those grids.
So we are into Group A qualifying for the Cadet Super Lightweights. I'm not quite sure if you heard our rundown of how things run through the course of these days. We need a little bit of a reminder. Aim of the game in these qualifying sessions, get the fastest lap as possible, try and qualify straight through into the Pre-A final. For those not quite able to do that, there's of course the Pre-B final and the Pre-C final. You can repechage through those lower grade finals back into the higher races. That's where the big championship points are on offer. All drivers have already had a free practice session, an 11-minute free practice session to get to grips, quite literally, with what is a new circuit for the vast majority of the drivers here. It's not like a Wilton Mill or a Buckmore Park where there's been plenty of previous races in previous seasons, calendars, etc. Everybody's kind of coming into this circuit in the middle of this heat wave a little bit cold, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And those that have got a little bit of experience, it won't be in the same machinery, it won't be around the same drivers as well. So it really is a completely new challenge for all of our drivers. But you mentioned the cold there, and I think we're not quite enjoying the full capacity of this heat wave at the moment, are we? The drivers are enjoying dry running for now, but later on into the racing action this afternoon, we might see that change. Yeah,
potentially some thunderstorms in the air for after the lunch break, but we won't dwell on that at this moment. We'll talk about a new provisional pole time, 52.415 for Rory Hamilton, reigning champion, of course, in Club 100 Cadet Super Lightweights. He won that title last year. In fact, it's been a Hamilton who's won it the last 2-3 years on the bounce. Rory won it in 24 and 23, and his older brother Benji won it in 2022. Oh dear, a little bit of a spin there for one driver. I think that was going into the dog leg, which is one of the fastest parts of the circuit. So it's Hamilton at the moment from David Cadet in the number 8, Jack Thompson 3rd, and then James Vout in 4th. James Vout, who's had a solid season so far, the number 3 seed from last year. A couple of third places first round of the season, and then a win in the pre-final last time out at round 2. Things didn't quite go his way in the final of round 2, so it's a little bit further back in the championship stakes.
Halfway through the qualifying session now, Rory Hamilton and David Cadet. Very close together in terms of the timing, very close together as well in terms of where they are out on the track. Sorry, no, that is another car there, but they're very friendly with each other in the paddock. We saw them earlier on before we jumped into the qualifying action. You might see that on your screens later on, but clearly pushing each other in this session as well. So Group A, and they will be getting very close indeed, as Cadet actually picks up a contact warning in this session. And this is the rough and tumble that can often appear at such a short track. When you've got 20 cars out on track, it can be so tricky to pick your moment, to pick a nice air gap to get a good run in. And David's having difficulty trying to pick that at the moment.
Saudi Dalewal goes up to 3rd place in the number 28 cart. Solid season so far for Dalewal. Been an ever-present in the A-tier races. And with that time there of, what was that, a 52.762, typically, not always a straight cut, but typically if you're seeing your driver up in the top 6 within their group, they're a pretty good bet to over the course of the law of averages, get through directly into a pre-A final with that kind of pace. particularly if we then see a change in the conditions, because that's when we can see that method of just taking the relative positions within a qualifying group taken into account. And what we do know, though, is Rory Hamilton there in the number 1 kart is fastest, 52.632. You will notice he's changed race suit to the eagle-eyed amongst you. Used to race in a bright red suit, now in a blue suit, which I reckon might be his older brother's. I think he's had a bit of a growth spurt. Jumped into one of Benji's older and still, of course, leader and safe suits.
It's ever so terrifying when you see these young drivers who you might have commentated on a year or two ago, and you see just how much they grow, just how much they progress in their racing career.
Yes, as you do more of this, Reeve, that situation will get worse and worse and worse. I was having a little bit of a listen to Road to the Mon Cup last week and felt very nervous. Drivers in LMP3 cars that have previously commentated on the Cadet. Anyway, enough about little stories from last weekend, because we've got a new driver on top of the timing. Zach Mumba in the number 24 has gone fastest. That is a really good performance from Zach Mumba. Bit of a surprise. Was in the A finals during round 1, but wasn't quite able to make it through at round number 2. So this could be the start of something that we see quite a few times here today, Reeve, because it's a new circuit for everybody. Those that haven't maybe got as much overall experience in Club 100 Cadet versus a Rory Hamilton, versus a James Vowles, etc., etc. I think they've got a really good shot here today, because those more experienced drivers by default haven't got a huge bank of laps around this particular circuit to fall back on. It's going to be about raw speed of a driver out the box here today.
It will. It should make some great watching there, as it does level the playing field. I'm just having a look actually at the times in comparison over the previous lap between Zach Mumba and Rory Hamilton. You can do the same in the background, folks. Results at alphatiming.co.uk. And Zach Mumba hadn't really had an impressive, strong lap for the first 6, 7, 8 laps of this session, but it was actually on the 8th lap, where he banged in an impressive 52.3, whereas Rory Hamilton, he's been pretty consistent throughout this whole session in the 52s, maybe deep into the 53s, but that's exactly how you want to go about one of these qualifying sessions, I would say. In these 11 minutes, you haven't got time to think about in-lap, out-laps, cool down. You've just got to get out there, get consistent, and keep those times being banged in lap after lap after lap. You never know what's going to happen in the session.
Indeed. Let's have a bit of a further run down the order then of this group. We've talked a lot about those at the very front of the field. Hamilton takes pole position back, but still 2 minutes of this session to go, so potentially 3 laps for the drivers out there. David Cadet back to 2nd place. 3rd place for Zach Mumba now. James Vowles 4th, Jack Thompson and Senna Panna at the moment all looking like they could well be through and into the A final. Somebody Dhaliwal there in 7th place. Milo Taylor, how is that relative? That's a decent lap there from Milo Taylor. Has only done round 1 so far this season, and was in the middle of the pack in the B final, so Milo Taylor's taken a bit of a step forward with that one. Hugo McMillan, first race of the season for Hugo McMillan, so a bit of an unknown in terms of where the number 83 is going to end up here, but at the moment it's up in the top 10. Adam Telford, both Telfords in this one, brother and sister Adam and Sarah. Adam currently P10, but has just had a track limit warning. Philip Poloskov, Amanzi Nwosu, the reigning British indoor karting champion in the cadet class, won that title at the back end of 2024, and as a result got a full season entry into Club 100 Cadets for 2025. They are currently in 12th. Valley Finberg in 13th ahead of Lily Cattignon. Freddie Powell 15th. Guy Baxter, Sarah Telford, Murphy Hogarth, and then the 81 of Chloe Van Beneden and Rafe Tamraz. They're all looking most likely at pre-C finals at the moment. 25 seconds to go. Lap times continuing to improve here, Reeve. What are you seeing out there?
What I'm seeing is our top 3 all occupying your screens now, folks. They're working together pretty well. We saw some gesticulation there from Rory Hamilton to Zach Mumba behind, saying, I think that was a come on, let's work together, or apologies if we've slowed each other down, but yeah, running along very nicely indeed. We're seeing our front runners now looking at David Cadet, trying to find a way around the outside. Nothing he do just yet, as the timer does indeed hit 0, bringing an end to this session. This will be the last few attempts now from our karts out on track as we dive back to our front runners here. Rory Hamilton ceding track position to David Cadet there, as this is their final run through towards the end of the lap now.
That could be quite a clever move there by Rory Hamilton. Didn't feel like he was going personally quicker, but also didn't want to give the slipstream to David Cadet at the end of this lap. Even our youngest drivers, very experienced, very shrewd with their positioning in these qualifying sessions. So improvements late on in this one. Jack Thompson's back up to 4th place in group. Adam Telford is up to 8th. Jack Thompson has not just gone up to 4th place, he's taken provisional pole right at the end there. A 52.246 puts Thompson at the top of the timesheets, ahead of championship leader and reigning champion Rory Hamilton. That is a tremendous performance from Jack Thompson. Best result so far this season in the South Divisions. A P4 in the final at round 1. Well, with that kind of speed, Reeve Taylor, that could very much change today.
That could indeed. He kept that close to his chest, didn't he? All of a sudden found a 600th of a second gap, meaning that that previous 7,000th gap looking like an absolute failed attempt, really, in terms of pole end, because Jack Thompson just walked it towards the end there. And that is it for our cadets, who dive back into the pits, and now we run straight into our junior super lightweight Group A qualifying.